Right, morning everybody. I'm going to just give you my perspective on social media and stuff. I'm going to try to defy the odds and share my screen. Please give us a quick thumbs up if you can see that social media screen. Thank you very much indeed. Right. So here we go. Starter guide to social media and online content marketing. I'm going to go back to some very basic principles. Marketing is about building trust and relationships. Social and online media simply provide new platforms for this, but they're not always the right platforms. I think there is a tendency to think that actually you have to use those. You don't have to. I was talking to an IFA last week, and they definitely don't need to use social media based on their particular objectives. So it's not right for everybody in every context, but it is a place in which we should be able to learn, interact, debate, discuss, and enjoy. And keep that in mind. It shouldn't be overly serious. If you treat it as a selling platform, you'll be as likely to succeed as a person who uses a networking meeting to sell. We've all seen those people and we've all seen them come and go. There is obviously a proliferation of social media sites, and it seems like every week or every month at least there's a new one being added at a fairly high level. Clubhouse is the latest one, that's purely audio. Horses for courses. I would always suggest that you pick one or two to start with. So choose a platform or two, but be clear about what it is you want to achieve. And each platform has its different pros and cons. I'm not going to use this presentation to go through the pros and cons of each one. You need to decide who you want to reach and then take some advice on exactly what keywords those audiences would use when searching for somebody like you. What platforms are most appropriate for your audience? Typically, a business to business operation would be more likely to use LinkedIn, a consumer audience more likely to respond to Facebook, but obviously platforms such as Instagram and more latterly TikTok and Clubhouse are providing different types of platforms, different audiences. So choose the platform that best matches the profile of your audience. If you're not sure what that is, there's loads of stuff online, or ask a professional. So getting set up, there's some very basic principles to that. Whatever platforms you use, ensure you complete your profile. Ensure you use appropriate images, including good quality portrait of yourself. I personally won't connect with anybody who doesn't have a photograph, their photograph on LinkedIn, or has one that has them wearing a sombrero. Use a vanity URL where you can. That means having your own URL. It does make you seem more professional. Make sure you have a clear, easy to use call to action. Know what you're going to do with any information you collect. People are collecting contacts and information about those contacts seemingly randomly at the moment, with no idea of what they're going to do with that information. Please have a plan. And ensure you have the time and resource to dedicate to your social media. Yes, it can be free, but it also does need time to do it well. Also, if you're going to be directing people to your website, make sure that's in order before you speak to Richard. So content is king, always has been, always will be. It's about what you say, how you say it. And there are various trends. The trends that the industry is pointing to for 2021 is that content has to continue to educate, entertain, or intrigue your audience in some way. Ask yourself whether anyone would want to share your posts. But always be authentic and human and consistent in what you do. That will help to make sure that your brand is embedded in the minds of your audiences. But be more personalized and more focused. And we'll come back to this theme, but less can be more. More and more, we're seeing the advantages of quality over pure quantity. So rather than necessarily posting every day, if you haven't got anything particular to say on a particular day, it may be better not to post. And remember the 3 E's of content, that is engagement, emotion, evidence. So engage with people, in a way that really connects with them. Try to involve some kind of emotion in your post and provide some evidence that you can do what you promise you can do. And use the law of attraction and the 70-20-10 principle. Let me talk about each of those. The law of attraction. The way that you act, the way that you are in everything that you do will determine who you attract to you. So if you act professionally in everything that you do, then you will attract professional people. If you act in a humorous, personal, human way, then those are the people who you will attract. You will attract people who are like you. And then the 70-20-10 principle, also known as, in my experience, the 50-30-20 principle, or even the 40-40-20 principle, or any other numbers you'd like to put in there, because everybody has a different equation. What it means is, whilst everybody has a different formula, the essence is that content should be blended, although not necessarily in equal proportions. So for example, if you take the 70-20-10 principle, it might be that you have 70% original content, such as blogs, opinions or so on. 20% might be content relevant to your followers' interests. It might be curated content from other sources. 10% might be purely promotional content, but I would keep that to a minimum. So some examples of content. Stories are great. Everybody loves stories. Particularly powerful are testimonials, case studies and successes, especially if they're on video and reviews. The one big thing that I would take into 2021 is that short form video is going to become really powerful. And that means low production values. It means 30 seconds maximum, telling those stories really quickly and focusing on some real benefits, getting other people to tell your stories for you. Insights and information about developments in your sector, thought pieces from you and your team, asking questions and perhaps doing research, doing polls, local community activities. All of these can be valid content and help to give a more balanced approach. Seeking help on behalf of others. So asking how you can help other people, how other people could help people you know. Recognition for people you feel are deserving of it. And curating general news stories that might be of interest to your audience. So taking all of that content, I just want to speak very briefly. There's been some particular questions about Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm just going to have one slide on each of those. In terms of Facebook, and my business is business to business, so I tend not to use Facebook too much, but all the industry pointers suggest that you should have a business page unless you yourself are the business. That will help you to be perceived as being credible and professional. But be friendly and upbeat and ask questions, really engage people in conversation. Use images and video, particularly on Facebook. A lot of people watch videos on Facebook but don't have the sound on, so captioning your videos is really important. Use but don't overuse hashtags. I see a lot of posts at the moment with hundreds of hashtags in it. Really doesn't serve you well in terms of optimizing your Facebook experience for the user. But you can schedule, you can synchronize, you can boost your posts. Even if you boost them occasionally, that really works in your favor for Facebook. And ensure that your contact information is clearly visible. The number of people I see whose telephone number and email address is not included on their Facebook, and this applies to LinkedIn as well. It's quite shocking actually, because lots of people want to know how to contact you. You simply find that if you make it too difficult for people, they just won't. And as far as LinkedIn is concerned, LinkedIn is still a fast growing platform, but you need to have a strategy and you need to set aside time each week. Create engagement groups. And there are people on this call who use LinkedIn and Facebook far more often than I do, and they'll know the power of engagement groups. So tag local influencers, create a group of people who are likely to boost your posts by liking them, commenting on them, sharing them, and that will boost your score, because LinkedIn has an algorithm. It will raise your profile depending on how many people respond to any particular post within the first hour. And if you can achieve a certain score, then it will consistently raise your profile. Always use intriguing headlines and imagery, particularly photos and video, to enhance that engagement. Join relevant groups and experiment with days and times. I saw something yesterday that said that the best time to post on LinkedIn is 10 till 11 o'clock on a Tuesday to Thursday. But the reality is that it will be different for different people in different industries. But there will be better times, and by trialing and finding what works best for you, you can massively increase your engagement. And take every opportunity to like, share and comment, and leave testimonials for other people, and they'll be much more likely to do it in return for you. I've got 5 simple exercises that might help you to improve the way that you engage through social media. So the first one is keep a log. Make a note of all the social media posts you see over the course of a week and a month. Highlight those that you're particularly drawn to and try to assess why they resonate with you. Make a list of any that you feel compelled to like, share and or comment upon, and consider why. And then compare these to your own posts. What might be different between your posts and the ones that resonate with you? I see a lot of people who spend a lot of time writing stuff, posting stuff, blogging, and all the rest of it, and they're confused by why they're not getting any engagement. And I say to them, how much time do you spend looking at other people's stuff each week? And they say, oh no, I'm much too busy to do all that. Well, everybody's busy. So consider what draws you to other people's stuff and try to incorporate that into your own stuff. Check your LinkedIn SSI score. That's your social selling index. That is a measure of how successful you're likely to be on LinkedIn. Very simple. You can just go to that LinkedIn address. It's linkedin.com/sales/SSI. It will give you a measure of how well you're doing and how you rate within people in your industry in terms of your engagement. And it will give you some real pointers as to areas in which you could do better. Google yourself. Firstly, Google your business category and general geographical area to see if you appear. If you don't, you might need to adjust some stuff. Note the number of Google reviews the top answers in that category have and compare that to yours. Then Google your own name and or organization just to see how easy or difficult it is to find your own contact details. The easier you make it for people, the more likely they are to respond. Formulate a plan, and it doesn't have to be a particularly cunning one, but what you do need to do is define who you want to reach, where they're most likely to be, what they want to hear from you. What do they want to hear from you? Not what do you want to say? Also, what problems you can solve, why they should choose you, and what success would look like and when. In other words, have a quantitative target and a timeline for that. Set yourself some quantitative goals. And finally, create a calendar. So make a list of all the types of content you think might be of interest or use to your audiences. Map them out over a period of a month. Consider themes, perhaps, for each day of the week. So it might be that every day of the week you have a different type of content. That makes it easier for you to structure and plan the content that you put out. In summary, bring all those strands together. Marketing is all about reputation and visibility. So have a clear plan. Social media may be free, but it does take time and it needs time to work. Be sociable. It should be a conversation, and learn from your own and others people's experiences. Ask for help from those who have succeeded. And there's plenty of people on here who have done really well through social media. Ask them for their help. And particularly check out the online guides and tips. I particularly refer to things like Hootsuite and WordStream and HubSpot. They're great free resources that will give you hundreds of tips on how to do things better. That's it from me. Ellie, it's all yours.
Thank you, Jim. Let me just, right. Okay, so let me just share my screen. And I can't find my mouse. Where's my mouse gone? Oh, there it is. Right. All right, so what I'm going to do is, Jim's done a great job there, so I'm not going to repeat anything he said, but talk about the actual practical side of what to do and how to do it. As Jim said, there's quite a lot of platforms out there. So I'm going to talk predominantly about Facebook and a little bit about Twitter. Hopefully you can all see my screen there. Yeah, okay. So what I thought I'd do is show you how I actually create a post live. So here's a post I've got ready. So I'm just going to copy that. And I'm just going to go. So first of all, with Facebook, it's very important to have a business page. So rather than put it on your own personal profile, is have a business page for your business to talk about what you're doing. So this is my Barnet Rules page. And what it will have a create post. So I'm just going to hit create post. I've got an image already prepared. Okay, so I'm going to put it in there. You select add all photos, which I already pre-selected, but there's my post for today. And I'm just going to post that now to my business page. So that post now will be going up onto my business page. Now, the way that Facebook works is that it does not push it out to that many people. So it doesn't matter how many people like your business page. You could have 1,000 people who like it. But Facebook, unless you're paying them money or boosting your posts, don't really create that much engagement. So what Jen mentioned was the groups. The community groups is where the action is with Facebook. And this is where you need to determine, you know, who your audience is. Because if you know who you're trying to reach, those are the groups that you should be joining. Right now, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to share this, not as the page, but I'm going to actually share this as myself, because a lot of the groups that I'm in, I have joined as Ellie Pressman and not as Barnet Wills. But I'm just going to click share, and I'm going to share to a group. And here you can see is a list of all the groups that I'm a member of. I'm a member of about 30 or 40 or more groups. So I'm going to share that one, say, to the Enfield group there, because I know there's about 15,000 people in there. Okay, and I can also share to Love Your Doorstep. So that is how you actually get the engagement. So you set it up onto your business page and you share into the groups. Now, if you're a business-to-business person, you can search for business groups. So if I type the word business in there, you'll see I belong to a lot of different types of business groups, from business networks, networking groups, small business networks, entrepreneur groups. So if I want to reach self-employed people or people that are, you know, in business, I would go into a business group. If I want to reach, you know, Mr. and Mrs., I find that for my business, mums groups are great. You know, see, I've got Barnet Mums, Pinner Mums, all the sort of mum and dad groups, because they've got children, they usually own their own property, and they make very, very good clients. Someone like Mark would probably be, you know, a member of, you know, landlord groups or, you know, property groups as well. So you have to work out where your clients are hanging out, and then join groups where they are, and put your posts underneath them. And it's really as simple as that. The only thing you have to be a little bit careful of is different groups or different group admins have different rules. Some allow you to only post advertising or business posts once a week. Some allow you to do it every day. Others might only allow you, you know, once or twice a month. So you have to be careful that you don't join groups where if you do it too much, they'll throw you out for overdoing it or for spamming. So that's really how I get my success on Facebook. This works really, really well for me. You can see that I've got a post up here. This post here had a reach of just under 7,000 people with 200 engagements from 40 shares into the groups. On average, when I do a post, I usually post into about, you know, maybe 10 groups. I post about 2 or 3 times a week, and the average reach will be somewhere in the order of about 2,500 to 3,000 people. But sometimes doing that can get, you know, it's time consuming. It can get quite, you know, quite time intensive. So a great tool I use is one called Sendable. Now, I know that Jeremy talked about Hootsuite. I use Sendable because I actually find that with Sendable, you could actually have more platforms in the free one. But what I do with Sendable is I use this to actually schedule my tweets for Twitter and my posts sometimes in advance. So I'm just going to show you how I would do that. So I'm going to compose a post here. I'm going to use exactly the same one as I did before. Here I select a profile. So I've got a choice of either my LinkedIn profile, my Barnet Rules page, an Instagram, the BM Network Facebook page, or the BM Network Twitter account. So I would choose which platform I want to use. But let's say I was going to go put this on our BMN Facebook page. Underneath here, it will tell me how many characters I've got left, so I know I don't go over too much. And then here in the bottom left, you've got the calendar. So I can schedule that. Let's say I want to schedule that for Thursday at 10 o'clock, and I can just schedule that. And that will now go out on Thursday. You can see it appear in my schedule here. I've gone too far. There it is. So it's gone out. Now it's tomorrow. Sorry, Thursday. So there it is for Thursday. It'll go out at 10 a.m. So that's there. I haven't included. In fact, I forgot to actually add an image to that. But what I can do is I've click on the paperclip. Right, I can drag and drop an image or a photo into there, or put a link to a YouTube video or whatever, and that'll go out. Okay, I'm going to actually delete that because I don't want that going out onto our page. So you can see here, I've actually got still 187 posts left to go out. That's really my Barnet Wills. I'm actually scheduled now until the middle of February. And I think the Business Matters, I'm scheduled up until the first few days of February. And if you see this little button up here, which allows me to upload, I can actually upload a whole bunch of tweets or posts, or I actually have a bank in a spreadsheet. I can actually upload a spreadsheet with all my content, and it will actually, I could schedule through that spreadsheet for a whole month or 6 weeks in one go. So that's kind of like how I run my Twitter account. I will actually schedule all my tweets, about 5 or 6 a day, for an entire month, and the whole process will take me about 2 or 3 minutes. With Facebook or LinkedIn, I will actually do these manually. I will compose them and then reschedule them, maybe on a Saturday, and I might schedule 3 or 4 posts for the week. So it's very, very easy. So that's Sendable. It is free. If you want to use the bulk schedule, you do have to pay. But if you just want to schedule posts one by one, it's a free platform. The other one here is Hootsuite, which does exactly the same thing. So again, you've got a compose feature, and I can put in my platform where I'm posting to. So I'm only using Twitter for Hootsuite, but you could have your Facebook or your LinkedIn or other social platforms there. You would put in your content there and drag and drop a file, and then you will schedule it in exactly the same way as Sendable. You choose a time and a date, and you can schedule it. What I love about Hootsuite is you can see here that it allows me on social media to covertly follow all the other accounts that I'm interested in reading. So I can actually filter through the noise. I don't have to go through a whole stream of tweets to pick out the ones that I actually want. So these are all people that whose tweets or whose information I actually want to read. Now this one here, the other will writers, these are all my competition, but I don't follow them on Twitter. They are just added to a list. So I'm reading everything my competition is saying and talking about without them knowing. And it's a great way to get new information and new content, because I know what's going on out there. And if one of my competitors picks up a story in the news before I do, before my Google alerts tell me, it's going to come up on there and I'm going to see it. And if I like a particular story, then, I can just, find the source, go to the article. And if it's an article in the Daily Mail, usually it'll be in one of the other newspapers, in the Telegraph. So I'll use the same story from a different newspaper and put it out there as my own. That's not me, is that? But it's a great resource for actually filtering content, so you can actually cut through the noise and see the information that you want to see. But it's also great because you can do it the other way around with Twitter. You want to pick your audience. So if, unlike say Facebook, we're going into a group, with Twitter, you're actually posting to followers. People have chosen to follow your account. So you have to grow your following. And I can't spend too much time on how to do that. But one of the simplest and easiest methods to actually grow a following on Twitter is what I refer to as follow first. Work out who your target audience is. If you're after mums, you know, what accounts are they likely to be following, or what stuff are they reading? You know, so you go to the accounts that they're likely to be following, and you can start following the followers of that account. Okay, so if I wanted to get people interested in property, I'd go to Mark's Compass Residential account, and I would systematically start to follow his followers who are interested in his account. I might do, you know, 50 or 100 a week. At the end of the week, probably, you know, 25% of those might have followed me back. So I can unfollow the ones that didn't follow me back and start the process all over again. And that's, over time, you can actually start to build a following of the people that you want. So I've got something like, I don't know, 12 or 13,000 followers on my Twitter account, and about 6,000 of those are all geographically in and around the North London area. And that is because I've followed individuals of the, you know, the Barnet Council accounts or local business accounts and so on. And as more people find out about me, you'll get followers from all over the world anyway. But I think I've got about 70–80% of my following is UK, with about 6,000 in North London. That's about 50%. So it's actually quite good. So that's it, really. You know, the important thing is to really, once you've done the work that Jeremy's talking about, worked out where your audience is hanging out, go and put your information and your content under their nose consistently, because, you know, one post doesn't do it. They've got to see a pattern. A lot of clients come to me because they've seen my posts on a regular basis, and you know, I get people who, you know, contact me, and they've been following my accounts for, you know, 4, 5, 6 months sometimes. So it's important just to keep posting regularly. Value for money. Your post and your content has to be in the language of what's in it for them. No one cares how wonderful you are. No one cares how brilliant you are at your job. No one cares, you know, how successful you are. What they want is, what can you do for them? You know, it's all about the client's pain and how you can help resolve the client's pain. And sometimes you have to make them aware that they've got a pain they didn't always know. But once it's pointed out to them, let them come to you for a solution. So I'm happy to have a one-to-one with anybody who wants to go over anything I've talked about in more detail, and put a little bit more meat on the bones. But that is really quite simply what I do on Facebook and Twitter. That is probably where the majority of my business comes from. I get over half of my business from those two sources.